It's a DraftKings NFL showdown night with 49ers Cardinals in Mexico City. If you want a realistic shot to win that sweet $500,000 that goes to first place, watch this video. At the end of this video, you'll learn tips that professional players use to win big, key information from tonight's DraftKings showdown. You'll even see some lineups that I think could have a shot to win it all tonight. The 49ers currently have a 26.3 point implied total according to Vegas odds, and the Cardinals have a 16.3 point implied total. That means the home team tonight is a 10-point underdog with a 42.5 over-under. Before we get into the game itself, let's talk about DraftKings NFL showdown strategy overall. If you take this approach, you will win more money if you build good lineups, and you'll lose less money even if you get everything wrong. These are three key things to do to be successful on a showdown slate. 1, don't be afraid to leave money on the table. Lineups that use all the $50,000 salary that DraftKings allows are very likely to have other players using the exact same lineup. You want lineups that are more unique, but still have a realistic shot to win. Number 2, figure out how the other players are going to be building their lineups. One team is a huge favorite. You'll likely find people forcing in players from that team. People treat the most obvious outcome of a game as must play, when in reality, football is the most variant and volatile sport around. And the third thing to do for any DraftKings showdown slate, find the angles that'll allow you to get different. If everyone is likely to play 4 or 5 players from that big favorite, you're going to get different by playing just 3 players or completely flipping the script for the underdog. You can also sprinkle in players with projected lower ownership, fade superstar players, or even just avoid the bad player who's so cheap that everybody's jamming them into lineups. And no matter what DraftKings NFL slate you're playing, if you follow those 3 tips, you'll give yourself a much better chance to win. As for the specific game tonight between the Niners and Cardinals, let's start with the projected optimal lineup. You've got Jimmy Garoppolo at captain, Trey McBride, Robbie Gould, Deebo Samuel, DeAndre Hopkins, and Christian McCaffrey. Note, this is not a lineup that you should play in big tournaments tonight, but it's important to see so you know how other people will be building their lineups. At the end of this video, I'll show you some lineups that make a lot more sense to play to avoid dupes. But first, some other key items to note for this game. Number 1, Zach Ertz is out, which means that highly regarded rookie Trey McBride is likely to see more snaps and pass routes. Ertz leaves behind 1.2 red zone targets per game, as well as 6.6 targets per game overall. Number 2, this Niners defense has been oppressive with a 40.3% success rate allowed to opposing offenses. The Niners' one weakness is against the deep ball, with 1.06 estimated points added on passes over 20 plus yards. Number 3, Kyler Murray is questionable and now not expected to play, with Colt McCoy taking over. Now, it could be Kyler's hamstring issues, or perhaps Kyler found a way to play Call of Duty down in Mexico. Either way, Colt McCoy may be undervalued for this spot. He led the Cardinals to their most productive game of the season last time out, and he also had 2 red zone rushing attempts for himself. Number 4, Arizona allows a high 53% success rate on dropbacks, along with an 8% DVOA boost to passing offenses according to Football Outsiders. That means that, unfortunately, this might be a night that you should consider handsome Jimmy Garoppolo. And number 5, Christian McCaffrey projects to be the highest owned player on the slate at 72% expected ownership according to Stokastic.com. Now, that also includes 19% expected ownership at captain, so not playing him there would make you different from a fifth of the field. As I mentioned, it's the most important thing to know how other people are expected to build their lineups tonight. Here are my 3 key expectations of what people are going to do on tonight's slate. Number 1, the field will likely be playing 4 49ers players tonight, with 2 Cardinals players, and 3 builds are not going to be far behind. That means you can get different right away by playing 49ers dominant lineups or Cardinals ones that subvert the Vegas odds for the game. Number 2, Niners kicker Robbie Gould's $4,200 salary and high team total is going to make him a key part of how sharp players build their lineups tonight. Gould's price tag and projection make him come up 50% of the time in optimal lineups. That means he may be viewed as a crucial way to jam in key players, but it also means that not playing him could help you get ahead of the field. Kickers offer a higher floor but a lower ceiling, which means they're players you can move away from if they help build good lineups too easily. And number 3, and this may be personal bias, but George Kittle seems deeply undervalued. Kittle is projected for 31% ownership and only 5% at captain, despite Arizona being a funnel for tight ends this year. Arizona allows a 28% boost to tight end production according to Football Outsiders DVOA. That's 31st in the league. Now, with all of that in mind, I built some lineups tonight that could give us a realistic shot to win that $500,000 to first place. And I will explain why those lineups stood out to me on Fantasy Cruncher Futures Optimizer. Before I share them with you, if you find this video useful, please like the video down below and subscribe to the Splash Play channel. 5 days a week of content that'll make you smarter about fantasy football. And hey, leave a comment down below. I always reply. But now the moment we've been waiting for, here are some lineups that interest me the most tonight. This first lineup has George Kittle at captain with Trey McBride, Rondale Moore, Colt McCoy, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Christian McCaffrey. Despite the very common 3-3 build of Niners and Cardinals, this lineup will be unique due to the low-owned George Kittle, fading DeAndre Hopkins, and keeping Christian McCaffrey out of the captain spot. We also left $1,500 in salary on the table, and that means people are less likely to duplicate this build. The second lineup you're going to see here has Jimmy Garoppolo at captain with Robbie Gould, the 49ers D, Rondale Moore as our lone Cardinals player, Deebo Samuel, and Christian McCaffrey. You expect the Niners to stomp Arizona, as that 10-point spread may indicate. This is a way to get to a lower-owned approach while accounting for one way that Jimmy Garoppolo could have a ceiling game. You could swap in George Kittle too for a Deebo or Christian McCaffrey. That gives you an extra way to get even more different while dropping that salary further. And last but not least, this Cardinals 5-1 build, which if you're new means 5 Cardinals players and 1 49ers player. It's inherently unique with the field expected to favor the Niners overall. We have DeAndre Hopkins at captain with Trey McBride, Rondale Moore, James Conner, Deebo Samuel as our lone Niners player, and Colt McCoy is one way the Cardinals could pull off an upset. It's easy for a pass catcher to pass his QB's fantasy points if the team doesn't score a lot. Deebo's versatility makes it feasible that he could outscore both McCaffrey and Garoppolo. So that's everything currently in my head for tonight's 49ers-Cardinals DraftKings Showdown in Mexico City. Watch the inactive and active players closely, with Kyler Murray's status especially crucial. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button down below for more Splash Play. We've got football content daily here, and maybe unlike some other YouTube channels out there, we actually do win money from time to time. And I wouldn't be mad if you followed me at Chris Spags or followed at Splash Play Pod on your social media platform of choice. It's your life though, so choose responsibly. And of course, good luck. I also realize now that because of my choice of hat and the thumbnail, I look like a less handsome version of Jimmy Garoppolo, and that doesn't make me feel great as a fellow Paisan.